All right. Hello. My name is Jason. I use he, him pronouns. And we are here to play a game that I made up called Alien World. This is a sci-fi survival horror story game. I took the best bits of a bunch of games I like, primarily Zombie World, Free Allegiance Alien RPG, Cartel, Escape from Dino Island, Against the Dark Conspiracy, and Alien Dark. So I took a bunch of different games, grabbed pieces and bits that I liked, tried to mesh it together to create something that I hope will work. This is a playtest, so we're going to try to create a story. We're going to try to have some fun, but we're also here to try out mechanics to see what works, get feedback. So there might be some bumps and pauses as we play. We're scheduled for 2 sessions. We'll go as far as we can with those 2 sessions and see what happens. We're doing this game as part of the Gauntlet online gaming community. A bunch of gamers online. If you're interested in what we do or you want to sign up, you can find our forums at gauntlet-rpg.com. If you're curious about how we play and our play culture, you can check out any of our hundreds of actual plays on YouTube at the Gauntlet RPG. That's enough of my little intro. Let's go around the table. Everybody introduce themselves with the pronouns. And let me know if you have any experience with those games that I mentioned, especially Zombie World, and whether you have much experience with Roll20. And Chris, when you get a chance, go ahead and sign into Roll20. But let's start. I don't have a character keeper, so I'll just go from my screen going around clockwise. First up is Jex. Jex, tell us about yourself and any experience you have with Roll20 and any of those games that I said.
Yeah, my name is Jex. I use they and them pronouns. I love Zombie World a lot. I think it's underappreciated. I'm really excited for this. And I own but have not played the official Alien RPG. And I've used Roll20 a bunch. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hoping no problems.
All right, let's go down to Mark. Tell us about yourself and your experience.
Yeah, I'm Mark. I use he or them pronouns. Been on the Gauntlet for a good while, and yeah, I haven't played Zombie World. I've read it. I own it. I haven't had a chance to get it out yet. Played a lot of PBTA games. Played Cartel. I haven't played the official Alien game. So yeah, and I've used Roll20 a good bunch.
Okay, great. And Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. My pronouns are he, him. I've played Zombie World and run Zombie World. I love Zombie World. I haven't played Alien RPG or I forget what the other ones you mentioned, but
okay,
looking forward to this. Yeah.
Okay. Are you very familiar with Roll20?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. So you guys are all experienced on the right stuff to get into this game, at least the key bits. But of course, as we go along, if you get confused or things don't make sense, just jump in. Interrupt me at any point, whether it's playtest, feedback, or questions. Just keep it loose and just jump in. Don't feel about having to hold out and wait for me to stop talking. Let's go on and talk about the resources we're going to use. So first of all, there's a link. I think I sent an email. I think I might have put it on the Slack. I forget. But there's a link to the rules document. It's not that long. Most of it is going to be here inside Roll20, so you really don't need to read it. But it's there if you want to check it out. So there's a link to a Google Drive doc for Alien World. And then we're using Roll20. You guys all sound pretty experienced. So I'm just going to remind you of just a few key things that we'll be using quite a bit in this game. So first of all, remember that in Roll20, there are pages. So right now, you guys should all, if I have this correct, yeah, you guys should all see the tabletop. So in Zombie World, this is where if you're playing live, this is where you'd have all your cards laid out on the table and keep track of all your stats and stuff. This is basically where we're going to be. This is basically our character keeper. It's basically a character keeper in Roll20 form. But as we play, I'll be jumping around to different pages. Here is one of the NPCs you'll be meeting here shortly. And then I've got some other pages you'll probably be seeing. So if I forget and I have you on the wrong page, just say, hey, Jason, move me to the tabletop, move me to that, move me to this, and I will move you around. Unfortunately, only the Game Master can move the pages around. Next up is the zoom slider. I did my best in creating the cards and all the art for this to try to make it readable. But the reality, depending on the size of your screen, you're very likely going to need to zoom in and out quite a bit. The zoom widget is up in the top right. You just add plus to make it bigger and minus to make it smaller. That's that. And then the last thing is pinging. A lot of times we'll be trying to reference to certain things that are on the table. Just remember, you just have to hold down your left mouse button at any spot, and it'll create a little concentric circle. I'm doing mine. Ours, all of them are different colors. I have sort of a green color. Go ahead and practice that if you're not familiar with it. Then there are cards. You all should see in the bottom right of your screen on Roll20, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks of cards out right now. Most of them are just going to be for character creation and or used by me, but the very first deck is called the Resolution deck. That one you guys will all be using that as we play. That's the equivalent of what do they call it in Zombie World? They didn't call it I forget what they call that deck in Zombie World. Actually, I can look. They call it the threat deck, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, I think it is. Anyways, for cards, to play a card, you hover over the top part of the card. So you sort of take your mouse over to the Resolution deck and just sort of hover over where it says Resolution. You'll see it kind of slides a little bit. That means you can go ahead and left click on that card and then pull it out onto the table. Everybody go ahead and do that. Just practice. Almost always when we're playing this game, we're going to be using this Resolution deck. All right, looks like everybody did a card. So when we do the Resolution, we're going to use this for our dice rolling, basically. But when we're done, be sure to remind me to recall and shuffle every time that we use it before we use it again. So that's how cards work. Moves. If you go to your journal, should be like the second or third tab up in the top right. If you go to your journal, there are two folders and then some loose handouts. We'll go over a bunch of this stuff later if we come across it. But I want to open up the moves folder. If you just click, I think you have to click where it says plus, and it'll open up. There should be 5 pages of moves. These are the 5 moves in this, or 5 groups of moves. We will talk about them more later, but that's where you'll go to read your text and trigger your moves. I also have them printed out in front of me, but you don't need to do that. And there's a card, a loose handout called Safety. Go ahead and open it up. It's real basic. It has lines and veils. We're going to use that to do what we do on a usual Gauntlet character keeper, filling in your lines and veils. Just sort of everybody will just sort of put in whatever they're not comfortable with, and you can start thinking about it. I just want to put that out there in your mind as we go on. We'll talk about safety in much more depth once we get into cats, but just want to let you know that is where that's at. Any questions about anything so far? Cool. Let's move to cats. CAT stands for concept, aim, tone, and safety. So concept-wise, this game is meant to be collaborative, and it's meant to be improvisational. I'm walking in with a little bit of stuff, and we'll create a framework, but definitely as we play, we're going to be injecting lots of detail, and I invite you guys to be creative, let your juices flow, and take chances, throw it out there, because we'll use that. We need that material to create a story, okay? This is meant to be a cinematic game. So as we play and as we're framing things, I certainly will be, and I invite you to think cinematically, to think in terms of, the game is designed to have short or quiet sections, where things, we take more time to kind of do character development and sort of flesh things out. But then there will be these high tension scenes also, right? So more about that as we go. But the bottom line, the take home message from this is, if you're thinking cinematically, you can't go wrong. In terms of concept and genre, this is a sci-fi horror kind of genre. So as we're injecting details, lean towards things that are kind of gritty, things are run down, retro futurist. That means, like in the Alien movies, all the computers are old, everything has CRT monitors. For some reason, they all have DOS prompts. But despite that, we have a spacefaring civilization using 1980s levels technology. So think everything's bulky and big and uses fuses, and it's retro futurist is what that's called. Think in terms of injecting a tense mood, tense in terms of the environment, tense in terms of interpersonal friction. Okay, we may or may not have actual conflict, but injecting friction. The characters in these kinds of movies are always kind of bickering and kind of like at each other's throats a little bit. Aim. The aim is to tell a story. As I said, we'll do as much as we can to reach that goal. Right now, though, where I'm at this game, I played it a couple times with my home group, but this is the first time I've played it on the Gauntlet. So it's a real early play test of the game. So like I said, when I'm recording it, you guys should jump in with input whenever you feel like it. What you save it for the end if you want, that's fine. Save it for comments on Slack, whatever you're comfortable with. And we'll save time at the end for stars and wishes and for any other feedback you guys might have. Tone-wise, I already touched on this a little bit. It's going to be a dark and gritty kind of game, tense, foreboding. We can certainly range from PG-13 all the way to NC-17. Is that what? Yeah. In terms of what people are comfortable with, but it's definitely going to lean in a more adult direction, I would say. And as I said, tone-wise, that rundown, low-tech retro futurism. Safety. First of all, some content warnings. Because this is survival horror, it's extremely likely that there's going to be body horror. There's likely going to be extreme violence. There's likely going to be sudden death. Those are all hallmarks of this genre. We can tone all of this down in any way that you're to make it comfortable for everybody, but that's kind of our starting content. Death is a part of this genre. Your characters, the NPCs might die suddenly. It might be heroic. It might be totally meaningless, or somewhere in between. But death is something that might happen, and we have ways of coping with that to get you back on the table as quick as possible if your character should die. This game may include drug use, religious extremism, and mental illness. This game may include characters behaving badly towards each other, all the way from arguments straight out to violent conflict. The game, we can mitigate this through lines and veils, but also there are aspects of the rules that sort of give you an option of sort of opting in or opting out of that sort of hardcore conflict that might develop. Okay. We're playing this game using the Gauntlet Code of Conduct. So that basically I break it down to be kind and generous to each other. Respect the boundaries that we establish with lines and veils. Ask permission to enter another character's scene. I don't mind people saying, hey, can I come into this scene? But we need to have everyone's consent that they're cool with that. Pay attention if you're not in a scene, and mute when you're not in a scene. Those are just kind of the basics. We're using the open door. You can step away at any point. If you can come back, great. If you can't, that's okay. If you can't make a next session, that's cool. Whatever feedback you can give us as to when you plan to come back, whether you plan to come back is great, but you don't have to provide it. Open door means open door. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we're using lines and veils. This is the time to go ahead and go in and start to fill that out. I'll come back to that in a second. And then the last thing is the X card. I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming everyone's used lines and veils and X card before. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, cool. And we're using the X card. So if anything beyond all of the other safety precautions we take, the lines and veils, something comes up in the course of the game that you're not cool with, throw that X up on the screen, say X card, discuss it as much as you're comfortable, tell us where we could rewind to, and we'll try to continue the game without that objectionable material. Okay? The game is, as you can probably tell already, it's meant to be extremely flexible. We can add and subtract things. It's perfectly fine. We will keep on trucking with whatever, I'm sure we'll have a good time regardless of what we have to get rid of, okay? All right, looking at the lines and veils now, and I'll try to remember later to go back. And lines, we have sexual assault and homophobia and transphobia. And veils, we have suicide, torture, and eye injuries. Ask first, okay? One little thing about this, the way Roll20 works, if one person's editing, I think no one else can edit until they're done. So if something you had tried to put in got missed, wait a second and then go back. I see someone's added slavery to lines, okay? Okay. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and scribble this down now so I don't have to look it up later. Sexual assault, homophobia, transphobia, slavery, veils, suicide, torture, and eye injuries. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm okay with wage slavery. I think that's a big part of Alien. So
That's true. Yeah. Okay. All right, the course of the game, in general, just to kind of give you a framework of how this should work. The characters will start in a bad situation where you have to find some way to escape with your lives. At first, we don't know much about your characters. Through the game mechanics and through identity cards, we'll talk about those in a minute, we're going to come up with who you are and learn more about you as we go. Each scenario that you play in this game will have a monster. The monster, it could be the classic xenomorphs from Alien, or it could be something else. We'll wait and see. I've got something in mind for this particular one. So, but it is, again, it is trying to be flexible, where, with some creativity and some planning and a little work, you can probably put in just about any monster from sci-fi horror, or probably a lot of different horror type stuff. Anyways, so there's a monster out there, and it'll start out being, depending on some choices you guys will make, it'll be at a lower power level, and the monster, as time goes on, will get tougher and tougher, so that'll add that tension. It'll make it more and more dangerous as you go. There are also what I call non-monster threats. Those are things like environmental things, robots, rogue AIs, fire, explosions, other stuff that we can bring into the game that will create threat and danger. That's not the monster, okay? So we'll have some of those in our game too. As you guys explore locations and trigger moves, you inevitably are going to get some misses, and I'll be using some of those misses to acquire what I call threat. This is sort of, you guys are all familiar with Zombie World, so this is sort of, it's not the same, but it's similar. It takes similar, it serves a similar role to what the bite card does in Zombie World. So to make it confusing though, in Zombie World, the threats are what I call resolution, and in this game, the threat deck is what is called bite deck in Zombie World. But basically, I'll accumulate things that I can do. Once I get the cards, I can trigger them at any point, but I have to use my hard moves, my GM moves, to acquire them. There's other ways I can get them, but that's the main one. Okay, so that gives you this sort of like, should I do this or should I not? Because if I miss, maybe I'll give Jason some more toys to play with, so it'll create some more tension. Okay, so the resolution deck. Let me draw some of the cards of the resolution deck. You guys have all either played or read or owned Zombie World. So actually, despite the name changes, the deck change. They're actually, this is the same as what's used in Zombie World. So when you go to do something, you're going to draw these cards, anywhere from 1 to 4, I think. I'm just trying to get an example of each of the cards. Here we go. All right, so I think there's if you like to, figure the odds, you like to count cards, I think there's 11 cards. 6 of them are misses. A miss is a miss. Straightforward. I think you've all played PBTA, so Zombie World is basically using cards. Basically, it's PBTA using cards, right? Next up is edges. I think there's 3 edges. An edge is a partial hit. It's a hit, but there's some complication, right? Opportunity is a miss unless you push yourself, take a stress, and turn it into a triumph. And a triumph, there's 1 opportunity and there's 1 triumph. I think that's up to 11. The triumph is a full hit, right? No complication. All right. So that is what basically the dice are. Pull this back. When it's time, when you trigger a move, we're going to have a little conversation to figure out how many cards you get. How many cards you draw from this resolution deck, and the more cards you're drawing, the better chance of getting that triumph or something good. You'll draw, let's say you draw 3 cards. You'll draw 3 cards, and you get to choose which of those 3 cards you want to use, right? So as long as you don't get 3 misses, you're going to get some sort of hit. Sometimes you get 3 misses. So how we figure out how many cards you get, this will mean more when we get into the character creation, but let me throw it out there now. First, and this, by the way, if you look under game concepts in the journal, there's a card called, or a handout called Resolution Mechanic. This is what I'm about to say. You get 1 card just because. You always get 1 card. You get another card if you're able to make a good argument as to why one of your expertise applies. This is your skill. Your character will have a certain number of skills that you'll start with. You might gain more as you play. I'll generally be very liberal on the expertise. If you can come up with even a halfway decent explanation why you think your expertise would help you here, I'm likely going to say yes. The third card you can get if you have the right tool for the job. If you feel or you're able to declare or have already established that you have some sort of piece of equipment that would be just perfect for the situation, you'll get a third card. On this one, I'm likely to be stingy, though. I'm going to want to force you to look around and get better stuff, to take risks to get good equipment. You're generally going to be we'll see, but you're generally you're going to have some shortage of equipment. That's part of the game. So like I said, that's how you get the third card. And then the last card, the fourth card, is sort of a bonus card. You get this, it's called a significant advantage. You get this fourth card if other moves have established that you have an advantage, or if you're able to make to make an argument as to why what you did before set you up to have an advantage in the situation. And again, if you have a pretty good argument, I'll probably let you have it. Okay. So that's how you roll the dice, so to speak. I think we're ready to get started. Let me ask if there's any questions before we move to the next thing. Okay. Let us then go down to there's a handout. It's a loose handout. 2 below safety, or actually 1 below safety, called Prison Planet. That's the name of the scenario. Go ahead and open that up. Prison Planet. And this is going to get us oriented. So first of all, we're playing in the year 2179. If you know a lot about Alien, that's a certain point in that fictional universe. That's the year that I believe, I might be wrong. I should have looked it up earlier, but I believe it's the same year that everything happens on in Aliens, the second movie. Okay, also the same year as Alien 3. But anyways, you guys are on a isolated hard labor prison planet. Okay, We'll flesh that out, but just to get us started, that's what we know. You guys are prisoners with life sentences for violent crimes. Again, you'll flesh that out, but that's where we're starting. Recently, a group of very important people went out into the wild of this planet and they've gone missing. The NPC colonial marshal named Johns, and here he is, Johns has come to the three of you and convinced you to go out into the wild and help him find these NPCs. And when we start, you've been out in the wild for a few days, let's say 2 days. You're 2 days away from whatever your base camp is on this prison planet, out into the wild looking for this VIP. So that's our start point, okay? What I need you guys to decide, first of all, is what we call power level. You got 3 choices, escalating from Alien 3 level, which I call the default, where you don't have much of anything, you have just your basic skills, you're over your head. You're not going to have any real equipment, maybe just you're not going to have any weapons, probably. You're unarmed, you're minimally equipped. And the flip of that, though, is that the monster won't be that strong. Only 1 monster card will start on the table. More about that as we get started. The second level is just, in between. Got a little bit more gear. You might have some basic weapons, some more basic, maybe more sophisticated gear, but we'll start with 2 monster cards on the table. And then the third option is your badasses. You're fully equipped with military grade gear. You've got excellent equipment, but we'll start. You also start with an extra expertise, an extra combat related expertise, but there will be 3 monster cards on the table. So the 3 of you guys talk amongst yourselves. What power level do you want to play at?
I kind of initially lean towards the first one, the low powered, we're all screwed version, but I'm super flexible.
Yeah, I think that either the low powered or the kind of middle level. I guess the middle level feels a little more comfortable for me, but I would be okay with either of those. Not interested in the badasses level.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I'm trying to decide between the first 2 myself. Yeah, how I feel. I guess I don't know quite what it means to have 2 monster cards face up on the table.
Well, in xenomorph terms, the first card would be the. I assume everybody's seen Alien at least once, so that this language would mean something. You might only start. The first card is only the face hugger. The second card is the chest burster. The third card is the drone, right? That's the big I forget what they call it, but anyway, the big one, and then so on. It gets more than that. So
and it goes up from there. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to start with just that. Like I said, we may or may not be using xenomorphs, but any monster I put into this game will have that same sort of escalation, right?
Yeah. Maybe the second one, geared up.
Okay, let me bounce it back to Jex then. So it sounds like you got 1 vote for 1, 1 vote for 2. You were sliding between 1 and 2. Which one do you want to do?
I like the idea of having a little bit more resources going in, but also the higher threat level. So yeah, I'm cool with 2, with
level 2
geared up.
All right,
cool, super cool.
Sounds good. Okay, so you can look this up at any point just to put us on the right place. You have some basic or improvised melee and ranged weapons and basic gear. You start with the first 2 monster cards on the table. So before I forget, let me do that. So I'm going to go into, there's a monster deck here.
Can you go back to the original screen on Roll20?
Yes, thank you. All right, I'm opening up the monster deck. And card number 1 is this one. I'm just going to put it kind of in the middle. I got to flip it over. This card is called, I know this won't mean a lot right now, but Falcon, 1 of 5. PCs describe, don't do it now, but just start thinking. PCs describe what they see, hear, or sense that tells them that they are under observation. Until the monster is destroyed or evaded, every time the GM is prompted to draw a threat card, they draw 2 threat cards instead. Okay, so until you guys figure out a way to deal with this thing, I'm going to gather threat more quickly. All right. The second card, and just because they're on the table, your characters don't know about them. You know, there's PC knowledge, character knowledge here. Okay, so you're all in the dark still, but you know, we know as players what we're dealing with. The second card, Hellhound, 2 of 5. Hellhound Pack. Resilient, never kill their prey. Worst, separate. Worst means that if you get in a bad situation and it gets to jump on you, that's what it's going to do to you. The victim must stare into the void, more about that later, if attacked by another threat. Okay, so these 2 monsters are available for me to use from the start. Okay. Let us then move on. Now we're going to select non-monster threats. Above where I put those 2 cards, I'm going to move. There's an NPC card for John's. I'll move over there out of the way. But they're in the middle between of the table. There are 9 cards that just have a simple explanation of what they are. These are the non-monster threats that we have available to us to play with. Each of you choose one of these that we're going to have in our game. They are dangerous fauna, extreme weather, extreme temperature, ridges, cliffs, and canyons, thick vegetation, treacherous water courses, geothermal activity, tectonic activity, and sinkholes and caves. So let me pass if you're not ready, but let me start again in the upper right of my screen with Jex. Which of these 9 would you like to see in our game?
I think I want to see ridges, cliffs, and canyons.
Okie doke. So I am going to just pull that up a little higher because that's active now. Let me go to Mark. Which of the remaining 8 would you like to see?
I think I like tectonic activity.
All right. And finally, Chris, which one would you like to see in our game?
I think I like thick vegetation.
Thick vegetation. All right.
Did you move sinkholes and caves when you meant to move ridges, cliffs, and canyons?
You're absolutely right.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we have ridges and caves, tectonic activity, and thick vegetation. Or not ridges, cliffs, and canyons, tectonic activity, and thick vegetation. Let me write that down so I get that going in my head. Ridges, cliffs, and canyons. Tectonic activity, and thick vegetation. Now, is there any of the others remaining, 6 that you really, really want to see in the game? We can go ahead and throw another one in if there's one that you're really dying to have in our game. Otherwise, we'll go with these 3. Going once, twice.
Geothermal activity is always nice.
You want to see that?
No.
All right, let's throw that in too.
Okay.
That was my second choice. So
Awesome.
All right, geothermal activity.
It goes with tectonic activity, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get rid of these other ones. Remove them from the game. And then I'm going to take the deck away. Where is that? Oh, it's not even up. Okay, that's fine. All right. Then we're going to go and do some questions. Starting in the top right, I'm going to ask a question to Jex, and Jex, go ahead and either pass if you don't have anything. That's cool. Or throw out some ideas. Again, I know we're building it from a white tape, a white whatever, but from whole cloth, but that's okay. We'll build, on every little bit that we get. So if you don't got a lot, that's great. But if you have to pass, that's okay too. After the person I call on says what they got, if you have some ideas to append to that, feel free to jump in, but wait for them to do their bit, okay? So let's start with Jex. The first question I have is, how did Johns, the NPC colonial marshal, convince you and the others to help find the missing team? How did he convince you to come out in the wild to find these important people?
Yeah, and that one feels obvious, right? Like he promised us freedom.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. Let me go to Mark. Why don't the prisoners just escape from or kill Johns? You're out here in the wild. There's, by the way, there's seven prisoners, one colonial marshal. Why don't you guys just run away from them or kill them?
I think he's got what do you call like call and response codes. So when supplies or new prisoners or whatever come in, they check in with him to make sure everything's cool, and if not, they don't come or take some sort of forceful action against the remaining prisoners.
So you don't attack or kill him because of fear of retribution?
Yeah, and he's the only one, like, if we were to be released at some point, he's the only one who would be able to say, give the okay to whoever's coming in.
I see. So he has the power of giving you your freedom.
Yeah.
If you get rid of him and run for it, you're just a fugitive, right? But to get your real freedom, you want to keep him alive, even, right? Okay,
yeah, and I don't think we could even get off world without him. We would be stuck here.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. He has the means of giving us our freedom. Otherwise, we'd be fugitives. Okay. And Chris, what sort of vehicle did the missing team use to get out here? We know we're going to have thick vegetation. We've got ridges, caves, and ridges, canyons, and I keep forgetting that.
Cliffs.
Ridges, cliffs, and canyons. We know we got that. We've got tectonic activity. We've got geothermal activity. It's a rough terrain out here. How did they get out here? What kind of vehicle did they use?
I think they've got like a vertical takeoff and landing flying craft of some kind.
Okay. All right. Back to Jex. What has Johns told you about the missing bit? What has Johns told you about the missing VIPs, if anything?
I think, just as a refresher, what has been established about them so far? Just that they're VIPs and missing, or is there anything else?
That's all we got.
Okay. They are, which is more interesting? I think they're executives from the corporation that runs the private for-profit prison that we're in.
Right. You want to give that corporation a name? Anyone? Start with Jex. You have any idea?
I don't. I'm glad to pull up a generator, but if anybody has any ideas, go for it.
Oh, I've got how do you spell it? I've got a good one here. What's the witch from the Tempest? Like Scissorak?
I don't know that one.
From the Tempest. Oh man.
Yeah, she's mentioned like one. Such a cool name. Scissorak.
Yeah, Scissorak. Yep.
S-E-R-A-C.
Sycorax, yeah, right.
Sycorax, yeah.
Nice.
Sycorax, that's the one.
There we go.
S-Y-Z-E-R-A-K. Yeah. A-K-A-C. Yeah. I've always loved that.
I had full screen, but not. So I didn't see the chat. But let me catch up. Blah blah blah. Feedback. Blah. Okay, good. So Sycorax Core.
Sycorax.
All right. They're running a for-profit prison on this planet. I guess while we're on it, what's the name of our planet? Let me ask Chris. Chris, what's the name of the planet?
I think the oh geez, I had a good name. Sorry.
Well, let me move on. If it comes to mind, just throw it out. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I think last question went to Jack. So let me go to Mark for this one. How do you know you're going roughly in the right direction? You guys have gone on foot for 2 days out into the wild to find these VIPs. How do you know you're roughly going in the right direction?
We found some of their non-essential belongings, not like emergency supplies or anything, but yeah, some personal effects that they've dropped along the way to reduce load or whatever.
What was one of the personal effects you found? What's a specific thing you found?
I think there's a carbon steel briefcase with a encrypted lock on it that was busted open.
Okay. Great.
I think the planet is named Nephis. Nephis, 620. Like it's gotta have a name. It's gotta have a number after it.
How do you spell Nephis?
Nephus.
Nephis 620 planet. Prison planet. Nephis 620. Okay. Okay. That's good for that for now. We'll flesh that all out here as we go. Let's move to character creation. All right. First thing we're going to do, again, you guys all either read or played Zombie World, so this should feel kind of familiar, this bit. What you have 3 identity cards, okay? You start with one of them face up. This is and whenever a card is face up, everyone knows that's who you are. So you're going to have a role card, which is what you start with, face up. Everybody knows that's your role here in the prison. You're also going to have what's called a background card and an agenda card. As we play the game, you may or may not flip those over. They each have a trigger, a condition in which something you have to do to be able to reveal that card. You don't have to, though. You can go the whole game without revealing your background or your agenda. That's perfectly fine. There are pluses and minuses to that. But first things first, each of you is going to get a role card. At the top of the screen, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different roles. So between the 3 of you, each of you pick one of those. The other 4 are going to start as NPCs. Okay. So talk amongst yourselves, decide which role you want to be, and we will go from there. Each of the role cards has the name of the role, and then it has it has 2 plus something right next to it. Those are the 2 expertise that character starts with. Okay. So if you choose to be the one on the far left, hacktivist, you will start with contact and analysis as your expertise. The stuff below that, where in parentheses it says NPC and then the person's name and then some of their character, that's only if they're an NPC. That's just for me. So once you choose your role, you pick your own name, you pick your own personality, you pick, all that stuff yourself. But for the NPCs, that just helps me to remind me what they're like. Okay. So yeah, just figure out which one you want to be.
Does anyone have any strong feelings right off the bat?
I'm kind of feeling vigilante, but again, flexible.
What are you thinking, Jex?
I was thinking probably either hacktivist or vigilante. So if Mark wants vigilante, I'm happy to go with hacktivist.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll do white collar.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay. So grab your roll card, click it, hold your mouse button down, your left mouse button, drag it over to one of these 5 cards. These are your character cards, and hit it or put it on the where it says roll. The person who's got white collar, perfect. That's where we want it to put it. There we go. Pick one of these cards, throw your roll card on there. All right. So I'm going to now deal out your background and agenda cards. These are going to show up in your hand, which is down at the bottom left of the screen. You see where your name, all of our names are. It's going to pop up next to you, above your name. What you do is you click on the card and it'll open it up, but only you can see it. You're going to get 2 background cards and you're going to get 2 agenda cards. You get to select one of those 2 for each of the 2 categories. Once you get the one background you want, drag it up to the background part on your screen. It'll come onto the table face down. That's how we want it. We want to have it face down. And same with agenda. Then I will recover all the cards that weren't used, and we will have established your identity. Before I do that, let me pull out an example of each of these background and a background and an agenda. First, a background. So in the middle of the table, I have a background card on the table. I'm going to flip it over and zoom in so I can read it. Okay, so each of the background cards has this sort of gray background. It will have the name of the background at the top, and then most of them will have plus something. So if you have this background face up, it has to be face up. When it's face down, it doesn't do you any good at all. It's not true until it's face up. So when it's face up, this character would gain the expertise of silent. Then there will be a little sentence that will say something about what you have to do to reveal it. So for this character, they have to reveal this card when you share a story about your rough upbringing on the streets. Then there will be 1 or 2 sentences with what advantages this card gives you. So for this card, they get significant advantage when they try to find or use vents, sewers, or other non-traditional paths to travel, run, etc. And then at the bottom, there usually will be some sort of disadvantage that the card will give you. In this case, this character, if they enter a dangerous area and they choose to hide rather than do anything else, they reduce their stress by 1. I guess that's actually good. A lot of them will have something like that too, something that will reduce your stress. Okay, so that's what the background cards will look like. Let me recall them and shuffle. Then I'm going to deal each of you 2 of them and just pull the one that you want to use, put it on the table. All right, put it on your card. 2 to Jex, 2 to Mark, 2 to Chris. All right. Go ahead and start looking at those. While you're looking, let me describe the agenda cards. Flip it over. The agenda cards have this green background, and they have the name of it. This one gives this one, apocalyptic preacher, would gain the expertise of Avenger. There will be a short section, it's just a quote from one of the Alien movies. Then it'll have a sentence that tells you when you can reveal this card. So for apocalyptic preacher, reveal this card when someone dies and you make a speech focused on keeping everyone together and killing the monsters. Then there will be the advantages it gives you, the disadvantages, maybe things that will reduce your stress. Then the very last sentence on an agenda card has to do with your win condition. When you have an agenda on the table, it pushes you strongly in a certain direction. There is no winning in this game. This is just to give you motivation, okay? Or to trash talk, whatever. But there is no real winning. But this is just sort of like to lay it out that now you have a drive, a powerful drive. And the agenda cards are meant to be strong. They're meant to be have a big impact on the game. So you may want to wait until late in the game to flip those cards, because because remember, once it's flipped, everyone knows that's who you are. Okay, so right now you guys only know that your role, or how you got, what kind of crime basically you had, what kind of transgressions you had in your past that brought you here. But we might learn more about you as we go. So go ahead and pull your 2 cards out you want to use. Oh, I didn't give you the agendas. Let me deal those.
Jason, is there a way for me to look at the back of the card again after I've put it on my
Yes.
play mat?
There are 2 ways. One is to drag it back down into your hand drag it down to your name and release it, it should go back in your hand. Then you should be able to flip it and look at it without everybody seeing it. Or there is a handout under game concepts. There's one for agendas and there's one for backgrounds. You can go find yours. It's not organized. I should probably alphabeticize or something this, but if you scroll through, you'll find your card and the text for it in those two handouts. So you can either pull it back to your deck and look at it, or you can look at the handout and find yours.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, were you going to hand out agenda cards, or is that still coming?
Sorry. Got distracted. There you go.
Thanks.
Looks like everybody's got their background card, so I'm going to recall the ones in your hands and get those out of the way. As you're deciding this, the stuff that you can kind of fill in, there's a spot for your player name, that's you, and your pronouns. There's a spot for your character name. Go ahead and give your character a name with pronouns. It's probably best to just put in the name that everybody calls you. You know, like a lot of like alien films, they just use last names, but you can use whatever, nicknames, whatever you want to use. Give your character their pronouns. There's a spot for buddy and rival. A buddy is the other player character that you have a real strong relationship with. The rival is the opposite, the player character you have a bad relationship with. You don't need to fill those out now. In fact, I probably would wait. There are points in the game where you will want to establish that, but to start with, you don't need to, but you can if you want. Then there's a spot for harm and mortal wounds. Those are things you might accumulate as we play. In the bottom left of your card, there's a stress. There's 5 stress boxes. As we play, you'll accumulate more and more stress. When you get to 5, you're called overwhelmed, and you have to take what's called an overwhelmed move, or I get to then take control of the fiction and have you do something really stupid. So as you start to get more and more stress, you might look to find ways to relieve that stress before you get to 5. Also, when you get to 5, there's a lot, when you're overwhelmed, when you have 5 stress, there's a lot of things you can't do. There's a lot of moves you can't trigger. So getting to 5 is not great. Then there's a spot for gear, similar to Blades in the Dark and other games. We're not gonna define your gear to start with. We know kind of what kind of gear you have, and when we get into the moment, you can go ahead and define that stuff, and we'll haggle and decide whether it makes narrative sense what you're trying to declare. But generally speaking, we'll probably allow you to have stuff that fits in with our idea that you have improvised and basic melee and ranged weapons and basic gear. We know that kind of roughly is what you're walking around with. Then there's a spot for image. If you go on the internet and you find an image for what you want your character to look like, you can use the default image if you want. Or if you want to use an image from the internet or just describe your character, you can type in your description in the image area. Or you can find an image on the internet, copy the link, throw it into the Roll20 chat, and I will create a token and move it onto your card for you. And then notes is, that's pretty self-explanatory. So really right now, just give yourself a name. So everybody's got their agenda, they got their background, they got their role. Give yourself a name and pronouns. Think about an image if you want. You don't have to. Get a basic idea. So let's go around the table and just kind of give us a brief idea of what the other characters know about you. And don't give away your background and agenda. You can hint at it, or you can throw out red herrings or flat out lies to sort of confuse them. That's fine too. But tell us a little bit of what people know about you, kind of what you look like, what your personality is, kind of what they may or may not know about who you are. So let's start with Jex again. Jex, tell us about Bicker.
Yeah, Bicker, it's unclear to the others, I think, whether that's her last name or some kind of nickname. If it's a nickname, it seems to be an ironic one. She's kind of mousy and quiet most of the time, is not very likely to start bickering with others. Um, and I think folks know that she was imprisoned for some sort of like corporate hacking kind of thing, but don't know much about that. She doesn't really volunteer much about that. Um, well, she's kind of mousy and not argumentative. She's not like doesn't talk either. She's friendly enough. And I am still working on finding a good face cast for her.
Okay, great. Let's learn about dun, dun, dun. Mark is. I gotta zoom in. I can't read.
Beetle.
Mark is Beetle. Beetle. Let's hear about Beetle.
Yeah, so Beetle is in for doing the cop's job for them when they wouldn't. I don't think Beetle talks a whole lot. Kind of a little bit too bulky for someone who's like prone to violence in that way. Like not fit, just like big. But seems kind of almost weirdly protective of the other prisoners, I think. If like a guard or whoever else has them.
Okay, great. And then lastly, Chris, tell us about Harrow. Harrow? You tell me.
Harrow, yeah. Your guy, Mark, makes me think of latter-day Lawrence Fishburne, big guy. But my guy is Harrow. Yeah, he's a he's in for white-collar crime. He doesn't talk a lot about his past, but it seems to have been some sort of financial crime, and gives the sense that he had been, a megacorp executive kind of person, or very high level anyway, at some point. He's not very likable. He's kind of good at when we were in the prison complex. He was good at getting other prisoners to do what he wanted them to do. But I think the people on, at least the player characters, they see right through that, and I don't think it makes them come off very likable at all.
Okay, great. Then I think your characters are all ready. Flesh them out if you have anything else to do. I start the game with one threat card. I have dealt that to myself. It is mysterious to you guys right now, but that's what I got to play with from the start. I think we're all set up. We are ready to start this thing. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and we'll jump into it. Let's take a good, let's say 10 minutes. I think I can put some ideas together, and we'll come back in 10. So I'll see you then. All right. So Jex has provided us with an image for Bicker. If anybody else has one as we play, like I said, just throw it in the Roll20 chat, and it just takes us like 30 seconds to load it up and put it on this table. Any questions, feedback, comments so far while we wait for Mark? Cool. Feel like Zombie World?
Mostly so far, yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely in its own genre, and like, it's really interesting to see how well that fits with the Zombie World mechanics.
Right. Yeah, the time I played one of my first games of Zombie World, I was like, what if you took the zombies out and put in like xenomorphs, aliens instead? That was a couple years back, and then it percolated, and this other guy was like, oh, I want to do the same thing, and then I finally got down to start writing it. So, all right, Mark's got a guy. Let me get the picture. Copy link. Is that Roddy Piper?
That is an older Roddy Piper, indeed.
Sweet, sweet. All right, so as I said, we start our story 2 days out, looking for these VIPs. Johns has come to you, and he's pulled you out of whatever labor. What kind of labor do you think you do on this planet? Let me ask Chris. Chris, what kind of hard labor do they have you guys doing on this planet?
I think I think somehow we compress trees into these dense carbon blocks for fuel.
So you guys are out lumbering, probably dragging trees, real sweaty, gnarly work. So he pulled you off of this job. He's dragged you into this team of 7, taking you out into the wild, 2 days of marching. And John's he's an unknown to all of you guys. He's not a guard necessarily as a colonial marshal. He's sort of like this. He kind of travels around, goes from job to job, operation to operation. You guys probably don't really have a lot of back unless we establish something as we go, but probably don't know a lot about him. So he's been giving. Just gotta learn these character names. He's been giving Beetle a hard time. He always gives you the dirtiest jobs in this 2 days of marching. He puts you out on point. When you come to a big pool of mud or something in this thick vegetation, he makes you go in first. When you have to rappel down a cliff or something, he makes you hold the rope for everybody, and then have to do it yourself on the way down. He's just, for some reason, he's got a real hard on for you, and it treats you really crappy. How do you think you might have responded to this over these last few days?
I think Beetle actually kind of rebels in it a little bit. He's not going to shy away from hard work, and I think he's not dumb, but I think he kind of takes it as almost a kind of like the special attention feels almost like affection to him, when it's clearly not.
Okay. And what we're going to do, like I said, we know that you're 2 days out, and we're gonna get to that point here in a minute. But first, we're going to have a flashback to kind of describe the journey here, the 2 days of journey here. And we're going to do a move, and this move will take a little bit of time, but it's going to give us some material to work with, and it's just give us a chance to fill things in a little bit. This is a location move. So if you go to the move handouts, the folder, there's a group of moves called location. There's two of them. We're going to do what the move called walking and talking. And on a location move, what we do is we go around the table and we just input some ideas. Okay, we use what we've already learned about our game, about our setting, and fill it in and deepen it, add more things if you want to. So on this particular move, we're going to describe, first of all, what sort of passage is it? Do we see you hacking through thick undergrowth? Do we see you climbing up and down cliffs? Do we see you walking along a ridge line? Do we see you skirting lava pools? Using what we know about our planet so far, we'll just kind of throw in a little bit of detail there. Then we may throw in a couple genre appropriate features of the passage. Again, I have some bullet points of some kind of ideas you can throw in, but really you can just throw in whatever you think would be cool. Then the point C under questions to answer is, how does the group travel? Are you moving silently? Is possible? Are you moving tactically? Are you moving quickly? Are you just marching, just like no big deal, hiking through the forest? How do we see you moving? We do know you're moving on foot, though. Then I'm going to have someone tell a story. This is a thing that we'll come back to quite a few times in this game. At the quiet moments, you usually have these moves that will have a story. There's a handout called Stories, and this is an opportunity for you to briefly inject some character growth or some character development. Take a moment to tell us something that tells us something about your character. It can be a quick offhand comment, a quip, Arnold Schwarzenegger style, or it could be a conversation, or it could be a flashback. It's up to you how you want to tell your story, but something that tells us about your character. So then we'll do that on the walking and talking move. Then, based on what we've learned, we'll do a draw and see how the travel has gone. And that will go from there. So let me start. I'm going to start with Mark this time, pass the spotlight around. Mark, tell us a little bit, what is the passage like, this 2 days of journeying through, what do we know, thick vegetation, cliffs, canyons, etc.?
Yeah, so I think we had said that there's like the vertical liftoff vehicles, but they can only take us so far because the rest of the rest of it's just covered so densely. So I think we landed in what passes for a clearing and piled out, and the ship took off with instructions to meet us back at whatever point. And I think it is like dense jungle that we kind of have to push through, but it is like we have to go like almost immediately down a pretty steep not this is not a cliff face that we're going down, but like a pretty steep descent into kind of a valley that is kind of boxed us in with these canyons. But it's still like super dense down there, and there's probably something else about the area that we haven't been told that prevents us from just getting a vehicle down in there.
Okay, Chris, tell me a genre appropriate feature of this journey.
I think it is I think there are broken down machines along the way, and not ones for the kind of work we're doing, and not ones for prison work. So it's like the planet had a previous life. Heavy industrial things, bulky, hulking, but for something else, terraforming or something.
And I imagine they're all like covered in vines and
yeah.
You have to like you see like somebody pulling it aside. And do they have the name of this company? What was it again? Sycorax, or is it a different company? You know, you pull it aside and it has a logo there. Is it Sycorax?
No, I think it's a different company. I think it's from something before Sycorax got the planet.
Okay. I know you beat Sycorax, so let me ask Jax, what's the name of this other company?
Caliban Tech.
Caliban.
Oh, good. Not creepy at all.
No. Okay, cool. And Jax, same thing. Tell me another genre-appropriate feature of this journey.
Yeah, I think as we sort of push past this machinery, we're sort of forced into this. It's actually this sort of like unnatural corridor. Like, I mean, this little valley is, you know, not super big anyway, but I think the way some of these broken down machines are, it's actually like pushing into sort of almost like into a hallway. Only one person, you can go through, only single file. And kind of having to, you know, sometimes really sort of struggle to even get through the space that's there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the last part of this explanation is, how does the group travel? Coming around to Mark, what style of marching do you guys have, if there is one?
I think methodically. I feel like since we're kind of following where we think they went, and they would have also had to have gone through this. Maybe there's not a path cleared, but where a path may have been cleared, and the overgrowth just retakes it so quickly. So we just have to go through just like slowly and carefully, and hack our way through that.
Okay. All right. So I think we are ready now for the card draw part of this. Oh no, I have to tell a story. I'm gonna start with Chris. If you have a story in mind, that's cool. Go ahead and tell us a story that tells us something about your character. But if you're not, feel free to pass, and we'll go around the table and find somebody who's ready. I think you're muted.
A story about my past?
Yeah, let me go to how I have it written. There's a handout under game concepts called stories.
Okay.
When sharing a story, the player shares something that tells us more about their character. It can be a quip, a conversation with other characters, or a flashback, but it should be short and to the point. These are the quick exchanges or one-liners in the quiet in-between moments of the movie that help us care about or hate these characters.
I'll say, I'll just say, never work for Caliban, boys, girls. Don't do it. They're fuckers.
Perfect.
And we've got the other 4 with us as NPCs, those other 4 characters.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and feel, and I'll try to mix them in as we go, but feel free to engage them in your story too, that they're open for all of us to use. Okay. Now I think we are indeed ready for the draw part. So we're going to go to the resolution deck. So what we have to do, none of you are going to have any. We'll skip the gear and the significant advantage. So really it's just a question of, given the kind of travel that we just described, do you feel your character would have expertise in traveling in this way through this terrain? So starting with Jax, let me ask you that question. Given what we know about Bicker, you have the expertise of comtech and analysis. Can you make an argument as to why one of those would apply here?
No, I think Bicker is totally out of her element here.
Okay. So same question to Beetle. Beetle, do you feel your expertise of melee combat and honorable, you can find a way to fit it into this situation?
The only stretch would be, if we're swinging machetes and stuff to clear out the undergrowth.
Yeah, I see that.
I've had a fair amount of experience doing that.
Sure. And we already established John's is making you do those kind of nasty jobs. So we see you hacking away. You can add, by the way, machete. You just established you have a machete, so you can add that to your equipment. So we see you hacking away in this undergrowth. Is it St. Mark? Is it a buggy kind of environment, or is it not, or in the between? What do you think?
I think maybe it's like it is like super, super, super humid, rather hot, and there's a lot of vegetation, but there's not a lot of insects or even like smaller animals that we see. You don't see like lizards skidding around or anything. It's
okay.
At this world, we've probably gotten used to it, but for a general person's experience, it's probably abnormally lacking insects and whatnot.
Okay, great.
Birds.
And then Harrow, does manipulation or intelligence help you travel through this jungle?
No, not directly. Although maybe maybe I've got one of the NPCs like Hughes like clearing brush for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who might that be? Is it the mastermind?
Hughes, the B&E person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Just sort of walking ahead of me in the single file. Yeah.
Hughes helps Harrow clear brush. So you kind of been working on Hughes, convince them to help you out. All right. I think then the character who does not has the least number of cards is going to do this draw. So it sounds like it's going to be Bicker. So Bicker, you are just drawing one card. You're going to pull one resolution card out onto the middle of the table, and let's see what we get.
Is a miss.
Okay. I'm just going to pull it when we put, just to make it easier. I'm just going to pull it right in the middle of the table. That we'll just kind of know that's where we'll look to see. Okay, so you got a miss. Anybody else can help. So in this game, when there's a draw, if you can make an argument as to why you should be able to help, it's help or hinder actually, then if you take a stress, you can then draw one card for each identity card that the person you're helping has showing. So all of you just have one card showing. So if either of the other two guys can make an argument as to how they're helping Bicker travel through here, take a stress, and you'll be able to flip another card to try to get away from a miss. But you don't have to. So let me ask Mark, do you want to help or hinder?
Yeah, I think I'm going to help.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I see that Bicker is totally out of their element. Probably a little bit concerned that they were asked along on this particular trip, seeing that's not their thing, and I think I kind of keep them closer, like pull them out of danger or help them, like point out, like, oh yeah, like hack over here where the branches aren't as thick, or like give them, help them in that way. Give them pointers and sort of shield them a little bit.
All right, that sounds reasonable. So what you do?
Maybe when Johns is like picking on them, like step in and take some of that.
Johns isn't really picking on them. Mostly just you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that all sounds good. So what you do is you take a stress, you fill in what that first red box. So what you do is you can just use the freehand tool to create, or you can draw a line, create an X or a check mark, whatever you want to do. Perfect. Just record that you've got 1 point of stress. And because you're helping, you get to draw 1 card for each card that Bicker has showing, which is just 1. So you're going to draw 1 card and throw it out in the middle of the table there. Hopefully get something other than, oh, too bad. And only 1 person can help or hinder on any draw, so we are stuck with a miss. The other thing I should have mentioned before you agreed to help is that you get drawn into whatever sort of calamity happens when you help, right? But what I'm going to do is I am going to just take a point. I'm going to take one of my moves is take a threat card. So I'm going to take a threat card, but because I have the falcon on the table, whenever I draw a threat card, I get to draw 2 until you find a way to get around that thing. So I am going to deal myself 2 threat cards. Give myself something more to play with. Take a quick look. Okay.
Mark, did you say earlier there's this conspicuous lack of birds as well as bugs?
Yeah, a conspicuous lack of birds, bugs, lizards. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking about how long it's going to be before we notice this falcon thing tracking us.
Right.
Like maybe there's something toxic or something. Yeah, something else. Who knows? We don't know.
But if it's the only bird in the sky, like it might be quite conspicuous.
That's true.
We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so that is our journey. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called the new location move. We've moved into the present, 2 days out. You're somewhere out in the wild, and we've reached our first location. Similar to what we just did, we're going to flesh it out. We're going to paint the picture a little bit. What are the basic dimensions of the place? What are some genre appropriate features? I'm going to then place one of our non-monster threats in the scene, and we will go from there. Oh, and I get another threat card. So let me start. I think I might have started with Mark last time we did this. So let me start with Chris. What are the basic dimensions of this place you've arrived in, or just start us out? What is this place like? About how big is it? What do you see in your mind?
So this is a place we've come to in our search for the important people.
Right. This is your first location that you'll be exploring and having stuff happen in.
I think it's a maybe it's a place where there had been an earthquake and the ground is still all fractured. So there's like a ravine with a lot of little cracks coming off of it that, cracks, but wide enough for people to walk into.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like it. And let me move to Jex. Jex, what is a genre appropriate feature of this place?
Pull up the
location move. Yeah.
And I apologize, I spaced out a little bit. Chris, what was your description again?
That we're in sort of a box canyon, a ravine with little cracks, a place where an earthquake fractured the ground.
Okay. Thank you. I think I think that like as we step into this place, I mean it looks obviously dangerous, right? There's cracks in the ground, but I think that there's also like we've been walking through, like jungle and dense vegetation, and then this weird like sort of, corridor made out of broken machines. and we actually step into this place and actually can see the sky above us a little bit, in a way that we weren't able to before. And I think it's, it's like seeing the Northern Lights or something. I think it's like just some really beautiful kind of visage.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. And Mark, what's another genre appropriate feature of this place?
We got the cracked up stuff. Wait, let's see. I think there is, as we approach this area, it gets louder, but there's a kind of hissing coming from the fissures and whatnot, gas escaping or something, making a audible noise from the ground.
Like steam, okay. From out of these cracks or these ravines?
Yeah. It kind of varies in intensity, so it's not just a constant escape. It might be stuff puffing up here and there.
And we already know this place.
I like that. I like the idea. It's unexpected. Gotta watch out for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
right.
Explosive
Right.
thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't really dissipate much either, like because it's so humid, it's so hot, and then even more humidity and heat here. So it's like a steam bath probably, or at least in certain spots, like you said, it becomes a steam bath for a minute or two, and goes pops up somewhere else. Perfect. So let me see, new location. Place a non-monster threat in the scene. So that's my thing. I am going to say that the largest, one of these large cracks is really wide, and it is full of lava. There's bubbling lava that's come up. It's sort of like a lava river, I guess, a stream at least, say about 10 meters across. And there is a log that, of course, is fortuitously fallen over and creates sort of a bridge across to the other side. All right. And you see on the other side, there's a huge tree, one of those huge jungle trees, 5 meters across at its base, goes up 100 feet, 120, 30 meters. And in the boughs of this huge tree is that VTOL, that transport that these VIPs, and it says in prominent letters on the side, Sycorax, right? Or does it say Caliban? Does anyone have a preference?
I think Sycorax, right? Because I imagined it was executives from, the company that owns the prison.
Right.
That makes sense.
And there's heavy foliage on the other side, and there's this huge tree, and there's this misty, foggy area that you're on with all these steams, and there's this river of lava that you would have to cross, presumably across this felled tree. I think that does everything for this move, except I get to draw another card. I get another threat, so since I have my Falcon, I'll get 2 cards. Okay. All right. So he gets here, and he looks. He sees. It's probably, let's say, it's about 100 meters away. You've come out into like a kind of a clearing, and you can see about 100 meters away on the other side of this river of lava, there's this tree with the vehicle up in it, and he says, "God damn it, what happened here?" Anybody? What do you guys do? I guess he's just kind of muttering some curses.
I think I actually If I can get up there, I can check uh, the computers. I can check the black box. We can find out more about what happened.
Sure. So you're going to lead the way? You're going to try to go across the obvious way, across this tree, this fallen tree?
I think I look back at Beetle, since Beetle helped me before, and I kind of have like a little bit of a scared look on my face. But then I do make towards the tree, maybe hoping that if it's a bad idea, Beetle will tell me to stop.
Yeah, I think if the tree across is sturdy, I'll be right behind Vicar. Just make sure she's doesn't win, B doesn't get jumped by something, and so on.
And Harrow, you see off to the side, like on your side, like off to like where up, at the edge of the clearing, on your side of the lava stream, you see like at the edge of the clearing where it becomes thick jungle, you see it looks like a piece of clothing fluttering in the branches. We don't. What's this? What's a abnormal color for this alien jungle? What color is this clothing? I guess.
I think it's like cerulean, like sky blue, earth sky blue, just
right.
Cyan, like really bright white, pale blue.
Yeah, so like you see like through one of this brief moment like where the spraying steam isn't obscuring your vision, you see this kind of fluttering in the jungle off to the side as Bicker starts to move towards this this tree to cross over. What are you gonna do, Harrow?
I'm gonna get a long stick and fish that cloth out of the trees.
Sure. And as this is going on, what do you want to do? I'm still trying to learn a name. Beetle.
I think just following up with Bicker and giving them a lift up if they need.
Okay. So you move over towards this. Actually, let's go ahead and do a move here for you, Harrow, just because why not? This is a basic / safety move called basic and safety moves are moves that are triggered when there's no immediate threat and the PC has at least a few minutes to complete their task. I think you're doing the move looking for something. I think moving over there, grabbing a stick. When you have appropriate fictional positioning, you may search an area or computer system for information on a person or a thing. First of all, share a story. So again, you can have a short quip, a conversation. You can have a flashback that tells us more about your character. Go ahead and think about that for a moment. Let's say, to give you an option, let's say one of our NPCs goes over there with you. Let's see. We know Hughes is you're the white collar person, aren't you? So you've already kind of established that you have sort of influence with Hughes.
Yeah.
So let's say Hughes is going along with you, and he's like, what do you see? Do you see anything dangerous?
I see something that may lead to information. I don't think it's dangerous. Still, you'd better go first. Take this stick.
Good. And in doing so, like I said, what's a little story you can throw in there? Tell us more.
I'll say you remind me of a really great manager who used to work for me, and he just knew how to tackle any situation, and and he was all about the team. He was all about the corp, and I admire that in you too. You're really ready to help out the team. So go ahead and be careful.
Okay. I think given that you're going to try to get him to do it, I think we'll do a different move first called, let me find it. Where am I? Another basic safety move called Manipulate. Yeah.
Okay.
Trigger this move when you use charm, authority, negotiation, or logic to try to get someone to do something they don't want to do. So you see him sort of holding back. He doesn't really want to do this, but you've kind of thrown out, what do you do when what do you say or do to try to manipulate him when he's sort of holding back?
I say, we're a corp here too. It's just the few of us here, but we are stronger when we act together for the common good. This is you acting for the common good, and you know what? That's leadership potential. So I see that in you.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and do the manipulate move. So this one, you're going to draw cards now. I've recalled and shuffled. So you get one card automatically. Do you feel that you have an expertise that helps here?
Well, I do. I have a plus in manipulation.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So you get that one for sure. Do you feel that you have the right tool for the job? Is there some perfect piece of gear that you think would help you here?
Well, feel free to disagree, but I think Hughes is the right tool for the job. His pliable mind. Of course, he is nervous, but he does have stealth and lockpicking.
True. I think I will give you. I'm going to give you that as an advantage, but not as a tool.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So unless you can think of a tool, an actual piece of gear, I think.
No, I mean I gave him a long stick, but I don't think that counts. I'll draw 3.
3. Perfect.
All right. So miss. Come on. Miss. Okay.
All right. The other two are kind of wandering off, but if you can make an argument why you can help here, I would let you help. Do either one of you guys want to help with this draw? This is convincing Hughes to go check out this sky blue piece of cloth in the jungle. He seems to be holding back.
I'm too fixated on getting up to the VTOL.
I'm not sure I engender the desire to help me.
Sure. Okay, so on this move, what does it say? Basic safety. On a miss, they may refuse and you may not manipulate them again this session. Also, the GM makes a move.
Okay, interesting. My hold on Hughes is slipping.
Yeah.
No,
I
think
Hughes says, I don't appreciate you trying to. You're even worse than John's. You make me do all the dangerous stuff. Maybe you should do something for yourself for once, Harold. And he throws the stick down and he turns away.
All right, I'm gonna have to do it myself.
Okay. Let me. Before we do that, let me jump to. One second. Let me look at my cards. Let's turn to what's happening on the tree. So, Bicker, you climb up this big tree. It's probably 2 meters wide. Should be fairly easy to walk across. Any special precautions or anything you're doing to cross, or you just sort of get on up there and make your way across?
I mean, I feel like I'm moving slowly. I probably am not trying to I watched a lot of that Netflix show, The Floor is Lava, recently. I'm probably not trying to like walk it. I'm probably actually like down and kind of like hugging it and trying to sort of pull my way across that way.
Okay.
I think I maybe like even take a step out initially, like thinking I'm just going to walk across, and it's fairly wide, but I'm just like, nope, don't want to fall.
Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of moving carefully.
Let me recall the cards, shuffle. I'm going to play one of my cards. I am playing the card called Non-Monster Threat. A non-monster threat becomes active, hostile, furthers their plan, or enters the scene and attacks. So what happens is there's a huge gas bubble that pops up through this lava and sprays this big, wave of lava up over the log. What do you do when you see this lava coming at you, Vicar?
Besides shit my pants, it's coming from in front of me.
Let's say you're about, of course, you're about halfway across.
Yeah,
so you're
yeah,
about
of course.
5 meters out. Yep. And it's coming at you. Yep.
If I were to like push myself up and try to run to get to the other side before this thing is that theoretically possible?
Sure.
Yeah, so I just kind of like push myself up quick, look back at Beetle real quick, and just take off heading to the other side, so that this big bubble doesn't splash me.
Okay. So I'm looking at the basic peril moves. Peril moves are the opposite of safety. These are moves triggered when there's no immediate threat, or there is an immediate threat, and the action is measured in split seconds. So there's a peril move called Run, and there's another one called Face Adversity. Let me see if Run fits. If not, we'll do Face Adversity. No, this is more when you're being chased by something. So I think this is Face Adversity. Trigger this move when you try something dangerous and no other move is triggered. So you get one card straight up. Do you have an expertise that would help you with what you describe yourself doing? What do you have again? Comtech and analysis.
Maybe analysis in analyzing the situation. Of I almost like calculating probabilities in my head, right? Deciding, okay, this is the better course of action here.
Sure. So yeah, you get this bullet time analysis, seeing the globs of lava flying, figuring out like where to put your foot here, dodge here, duck here. Perfect. I like it. Do you have the right tool for the job? Do you want to declare some piece of equipment that you think would be just right for this situation?
No, I don't think I have anything that works for this.
Okay. And do you have any significant advantage? Would it have to be something that you established prior? I can't think of anything. So unless you have an argument, I think you're looking at two cards.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the only thing I was thinking, and this was only established by uploading the image, is that like Bicker's pretty light on her feet, so like that maybe. But I'm okay with just the two.
Yeah, I like the idea. The problem is if I give you that, then you're gonna start using it everywhere. I'm gonna say no on that, but we'll put that in our memory banks for situations in the future. So let's just do two cards. Two resolution cards. Yes. Oh, and to try it. Finally, you guys got a good one. Try it. It goes perfect. So describe to me how you perfectly do this.
Yeah, I think we get that sort of bullet time kind of thing, slow motion, and then it just like the camera just like speeds up, right? And I just like dash across. And I think, as soon as I get close enough, I actually spring off of the log to the other side, of the lava flow, and look back at Beetle, and I say, "Hurry up!"
Okay. And you get to the other side, you jump across, and there's that thick foliage on this side, and there's that tree, maybe another 10 meters in front of you through this like thick jungle, and there's a horrible stench of death coming out of this part of the forest, out of the jungle in front of you. I'll tell you that. Let me jump back across the other side. And Harrow, Hughes has denied your manipulation. Are you going to do it on your own then, or what's your next step?
I'm curious enough. I'm going to do it on my own. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to where we had started then on the basic safety move. Looking for something. You shared a story. Describe what you are hoping to find or discover.
I'm hoping it's going to be something proprietary from Caliban Tech, from the former company.
And describe how you put yourself into danger start over. Describe how you put yourself into danger like an idiot. By getting too close, making too much noise, getting too focused, wandering away from the group, etc., etc.
Well, I'm certainly wandering away from the group, and I am definitely getting close to a stand of trees. There could be anything hiding back in there. And I'm very focused on this flash of blue that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm. Let me recall and shuffle again. All right, let's do the move then.
Okay.
So for this move, do you feel either one of your expertise would help you in what you're doing?
My other one is intelligence. I think that might help.
Tell me a little more why.
I'm looking to see what it is, and I'm learning more about my surroundings as I get in there. But so it's just my awareness of the situation, I guess.
Yeah, I can give that to you, sure.
Okay.
Do you feel like you have the right tool for the job?
I have this long stick.
I don't think the long stick's good enough.
All right. So
And
it's 2, I think.
So, do you have a significant advantage? I don't think so.
No.
So, yeah, 2.
All right. Miss.
And miss. I'm going to say that I think Vickers definitely not going to be able to help what she's gone through. If you have a strong argument as to why you think you could help him looking through this forest, let me know. But otherwise, we're going to have to go with a miss.
Okay.
Do you think you're helping him, Mark, or is he on his own? No? Okay. So you're stuck with a miss. Let me check my GM moves real quick. I think you get close to this Harrow, and you hear and see rustling in the forest. Something large is moving around in that foliage, and it's really creepy. You gain a point of stress. Okay. And I'm going to play, before I forget, let me recall and shuffle and get rid of this card. I'm going to play another one of my cards. I'm going to play this one. This one's called Red Herring. That scary thing turns out to be nothing, but the PC's attention is in the wrong place. The GM may make a move and force a character to stare into the void if a threat enters the scene. I think you get over there and you see this rustling, and what would it be? Something. What comes out of the forest? It isn't so scary, Harrow.
A sort of six-legged deer-like thing, herbivore,
Okay.
very fast-moving.
Right. So it comes out, a pair of them come out, a male and a female, and they sort of look at you, and then their ears perk and they let out some like honking sound, and they go scooting at high speed back into the jungle. And at that moment, I'm going to trigger another card. Monster attack. And this is going to be these things.
Oh dear.
Climbing up out of the different cracks on your side, about half a dozen of these things climb up out of these cracks, up out of the ground, and move to attack you guys. And they are roughly maybe like wolf-sized, and they look like a like half mammal, half reptile. They got big, nasty teeth. They've got all of these spikes coming out of their back and their heads and their jaws. And they come out, and you hear, I'll tell you, Harrow, you hear from deeper in the jungle, you hear this, right before they came up, you heard this like high-pitched whistling sound coming from like up into the jungle somewhere, this haunting whistling sound. And then these things climb up and they move to attack all of you guys that are on the side. You know, Vicar seems to be home free, but the rest of you have these nasty creatures coming out. They growl and they look at you, and then they charge to attack. This is a good time to take a break. We'll come back. Let's take 5, and we'll come back and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right, everyone's here. Great. Okay. So let me turn to Beetle then. So Beetle, you're like starting to get up to like try to like go across this now like burning, embers are burning on this log that goes across this lava stream, and climbing up out of a crevice right nearby, let's say 5 meters or so away from you, is one of these nasty things. What do you do?
Run across, I think, presuming it's on the other side. Or it's on the side that I'm on.
Right. All of these creatures, are on this side. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, that sounds reasonable.
Definitely
So
book
that sounds like the peril move called Run. Work with the GM to describe a hectic chase and draw. I think it's a matter of you racing there as this dog, this dog-like thing moves to cut you off and bite you as you make your way. Does it sound right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go right to the cards then. So, do you have an expertise that would help you in this situation?
Do I? Let's see. What do I have? I've got combat and honorable. Unless I'm like beating it away with my machete, which I don't think I am. I don't think so.
I'd be willing to say that you hack at it in a way to like slow it down as you're trying to make your leap or something, right? Does that work for you?
Maybe I'm hacking at the log.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe you hack at the log to like it jumps and like you hack at the log so it loses its footing and would fall or something, right? So I'll give that to you. That makes sense. Do you have the right tool for the job?
If that's the machete, then yeah.
I would get that too if you were fighting. Maybe if you were fighting,
yeah. That feels like double dipping. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. And remember, you can always just kind of create something. Within the restrictions of what we established, you could always just be like, "Yeah, I have a dog whistle," or "I have, I have a bag of steaks." I don't know. Whatever. That's part of it. I want you to get these cards, but it's a matter if you have to do a little work for it. But we'll go with no unless you have something. Do you have a significant advantage? Is there anything that you've done or anything about the situation that we've established that would give you a significant advantage?
I just watched Bicker go across, so I kind of like saw where she had to jump and dodge and what parts to avoid. So if I'm like trying to just follow in her footsteps, kind of, maybe that'll.
Yep, I agree, and I think you guys had established quite clearly that you were close up on Bicker, that you were definitely following right along.
Yeah.
So I'll give that to you, sure. So I believe, if I'm correct, I think you're at 3 cards.
That sounds right. Let's see what we get. Opportunity.
Sweet.
Edge. And a miss.
Okay, so this is an interesting choice. So you have an edge, which is a partial hit, or a hit with complication, or you can spend a stress and turn the opportunity into a triumph, which is a clean
I
hit.
will spend a stress to turn that opportunity into a triumph.
Okay, perfect. So put that all together and just tell me a little bit of what this looks like. You get across this log, no problem, without any problem.
Yeah, so and so the objective is not necessarily to get across the log, but to get across the log without being followed by one of the things.
True.
Right.
True.
So I think, or maybe so. Would it be more? No, I'm gonna go with the full hit. I was thinking maybe damaging the log or putting it like making it unusable would be more of the partial hit. So I think I think a run it kind of like lunges and snaps at my heels some, and the hacking at the log, I actually am sort of like hacking at a part that has the embers burning from with a lava splashed on, and that kind of like kicks off some burning coals or stuff into its face, and it either yipes or backs off or falls off.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I like the idea. It falls off. It falls off.
Yeah.
It paws at you, you know, from this embers, and like in the end of Terminator 2, it falls. It disappears into the lava, you know, burned up.
Yeah.
So, you know, scratch one dog monster thing. Perfect. So I think Harrow, you turn. You know, you get this piece of cloth on your stick, so you turn like a doofus, and one of these hound creatures is right there in your face. So I think as a consequence of my card called Red Herring, that scary thing turns out to be nothing, but the PC's attention is in the wrong place. And if I zoom in, I can read the rest of it. The GM may make a move and force a character to stare into the void if a threat enters the scene. So I think this is going to be the consequence of your miss, is that one of these things is right up in your face, and you have to do the move. It's a peril move called Stare into the Void. This is that moment in a horror movie where the character is facing face to face with death suddenly, and almost always they die, right? So this is your moment. Stare into the void. When suddenly confronted by death, draw cards as you try to pull it together and do something. So really, this draw is a matter of you pulling your shit together to be able to do something before this thing does its worst to you. So do you have any expertise that would help you to pull your stuff together?
I have my intelligence. I think this might be a good time for me to flip my agenda.
Okay. Have you done what it requires to trigger it?
I don't remember. I need to look that up.
Yeah, I better look that up. So you can pull it back down into your hand.
Okay, let me do that.
Look at it that way.
Sure. Whoa, that is not what I meant to do.
Yeah, you have to make sure you're on the widget at the top. You have to make sure you're on the.
I know. I just drew a big line on the.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, now I just deleted the card. Can I undo?
No, Jex is in this. Do you remember which one it was?
Yeah.
Let me check.
I hope I didn't really like.
Part of the nice thing about this game is that I don't know them either. So
you can look in the agendas document and see that should have all the information.
Yeah, if you look in the agendas document, you can.
Okay, one second.
Yeah, you have to scroll through for a while to find yours, but it'll be in there.
Okay.
It'll say something
yeah,
like,
I think this works. There really ought to be a way to undo an action.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Go ahead and
Okay. The agenda is stay cool. Reveal this card when you make it clear you weren't paying attention to something important because you were thinking of something more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this blue cloth and the history of Caliban tech on this planet, and what do you know? There's monsters. Once per session, I can ignore a stress gain due to my unflappable nature, and I can reduce stress by 1 when I share an offbeat viewpoint and somebody responds incredulously or with "what the fuck." So I win if I escape with 0 stress. So I'm so sorry I deleted the card, but that's my agenda. Just stay cool. I've got a sort of reptilian nature.
Let me take 1 second, see if I can get that card to you here. GM choose, show action. Save changes, agendas, choose. It's called Stay Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Stay cool.
Okay, great, thanks.
Go ahead and drag that back to that spot. Okay, so expertise-wise, we were saying. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just my intelligence and my unflappable nature, that I'll just look at the whole thing clinically and you know, This is just a personnel problem.
Okay. You're okay. I like it. All right. So that'll give you your second card. Do you have a tool? Do you have a piece of gear? This isn't dealing with the dog. This is just dealing with the shock of seeing it. Is there any piece
No,
of gear
I don't
or
have any
equipment
gear
would
that
help
helps
you?
with that.
And is there any significant advantage? Do you have a significant advantage of any sort?
Not really. I'm aside from my unflappable nature, I'm pretty flat-footed here.
Okay, I think you're right.
Should you retrieve the cards?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Okay. Hold on. It didn't work. Recall. Oh, why isn't it working?
Might be recalling the wrong deck.
Yeah, you're right. Recall all. Shuffle. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and draw 2 cards.
2 cards. No problem. Miss. No problem. Edge. Awesome.
Okay. All right. So let's read what you get on an edge for staring into the void. On an edge, you must choose one of the following: gain a stress, lose an important item, or make a lot of noise. The GM draws threat. This is under basic move peril. Basic/peril.
Let's see here.
Stare into the void.
Stare into the void. Let me find that.
On a hit, you manage to act before the threat does its worst. On an edge, you must choose one of the following: gain 1 stress, lose an important item, or make a lot of noise.
I'm going to make a lot of noise.
Okay.
Make a particularly high-pitched screech.
Okay. I get to draw a threat, and again, I have my falcon flying around, so I get to draw 2 threat.
Have we noticed the falcon by this point?
No, the falcon's out there. I should have asked you guys. I forgot to ask. We'll get that in a minute.
Okay.
I should have asked you what. Actually, let me ask that to Jex while we're sorting this out. Jex, what on the? Let me do this. Can't trying to do too many things at once. Let me just give myself my threat cards. Okay. Whoops! I gave them all to you guys instead. Don't look at them.
Not looking.
Good. Shuffle. Okay. If we look at the Falcon card, one thing I forgot to do, I should have done earlier, is on the Falcon card, it says PCs describe what they see, hear, or sense that tells them that they are under observation. So let me give this to you, Jack. So you got to this other side, all hell's breaking loose on the other side of this lava, and you get this horrible stench coming out of the forest in front of you. What gives you the sense that, what do you see, hear, or sense that tells you that you're under observation?
I mean, I'm over here like now kind of trying to get my bearings. Beetle has just made it over. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, and I think I momentarily, because I mentioned before, the kind of have the sky above us, and I think momentarily things go briefly dark as a shadow passes over. And when I go to look to see what was there, I don't see anything.
Right. Okay, perfect. So basically how this plays out is that then you guys would have to do something to either evade this or find it and destroy it. You know, like you get a sense that there's something watching you, but you don't know what it is at this point, right? And you can't do anything about it. So it's a matter of you guys have to kind of take action to find it and do something. All right, so you pull your shit together then, Harrow, and are able to now do something with this this dog creature coming at you. What are you gonna do?
I think I'm going to kill it with this wood compactor tool that I have.
Well, how's the wood compactor tool work? Especially
it's got a big flat business end it's got handles on the other side, but this business end is like one of those tampers that you see on concrete, but big and really powerful for taking enormous old growth trees and turning them into dense blocks like that.
Okay, so is it a matter of just like applying massive pressure, or does it have like I don't know, some sort of magnetism or something? Like, what's the mechanism of its functioning?
I think it's like yeah, I think it's some sort of magnetic field that,
Okay.
you know, it's sweaty work that takes us all day to do. It's not like it happens right away, but on a living creature, it probably has dramatic effects.
And what does it look like?
It's got these big rubber covered handles, and it's like slung on my back, but it's heavy and bulky. Like I say, it's got a big flat plate on the, well, yeah, on the business. Oh yeah, no, I know. It's got a flat plate, but it's got these flanges that fold on the top and bottom and left and right to create this magnetic field.
Okay.
Shape it, you know.
So it sounds powerful, but kind of awkward. I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and add that to your gear, so we remember. Compacting tool, or however you want to, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and add that to your gear, and that sounds like you're triggering basic peril move called fight. When you fight, you gain 1 stress and draw. So when you fight, you automatically gain a stress. So go ahead and take that now. And I think we just draw. So do you have an expertise that would help you in this situation?
I could make an argument that my intelligence helps with this situation, but I don't know.
Yeah. How would it help here?
Yeah.
Go a little farther. I'll probably say yes.
Like I say, I have a way of looking at a scene very clinically, and like we're all just chess pieces on a board. This is just one more chess piece.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Sure.
All right.
And tool, I think this sounds like a good tool in this situation.
Okay.
So significant advantage, no, I won't give you that unless there's something I'm missing. So
No,
I think you're looking at 3 cards.
3's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd like to ignore the stress also. I can do that once per session.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. I'm going to take that off later, but
and just so everybody knows, you're doing that through your Stay Cool card, right?
Through my Stay Cool agenda, yeah. Whoa, not what I meant to do. Okay, managed to delete that without deleting the card. And then edge, oh wow. Triumph.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So tell me how you use this tool to overcome this this monster.
I just look at the thing contemptuously, like it's entered my office without knocking first, and I sling this thing and turn it on full blast and just wait for it to come, and its face comes right into it, and the flanges come around, and it just compacts its head into a cube this big.
Sweet. And looking at the fight move, when you get a triumph, you exchange harm as established. So, and then on a triumph, you get to choose 3 from the list. The list is: you drive the threat off, you suffer little harm, you cause great harm, you keep cool and reduce your stress by 1, you avoid collateral damage, or you occupy the threat's attention long enough so that anyone else not engaged in the fight may successfully hide or run without needing to draw.
I'm going to drive the threat off, suffer little harm, and reduce my stress by 1. So I don't kill it. I don't compact its head into a little box, but I do give it enough of a shock that it runs off.
Right. So let's say you grievously harm it enough to drive it away. It doesn't harm you. I think that's fair. And you reduce your stress by 1. It's relaxing. It doesn't bother you at all. Perfect. Jax, you see some of the NPCs. Let's see. Let's get someone else on the table that we haven't mentioned yet. Let's say you see the contract killer. Her name is Swift. She's pulled out a revolver and she's shooting at one of them and slowly walking backwards. But another one is kind of coming up on her flank. What do you want? What do you do from 10 meters away on the other side of whether to help her or something else for that matter?
Is there anybody else that's like nearby and less engaged that I could direct to help Swift? Or
Sure. Let's say our psycho killer,
yeah,
Cage.
that's what I was hoping.
Cage is he's sort of like a spider crawling across, but he turns and you see he's got a big nasty looking knife held like pirate style in his teeth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I just yell, Cage, Swift, now!
Okay. I think we've triggered a special move called NPCs Do Their Thing. When a PC triggers a move while being assisted or assisting an NPC, blah, blah, blah. When an NPC is assigned to a task to do on their own, they successfully complete the task if it's within their skill set. If under duress, they have to draw. So I think in this case, it's within his skill set to help her, but we're going to have to draw. So the PC does the draw, draws for the NPC. On a hit, they succeed. On a 7 to 9, blah, blah, blah. So do we believe that Cage has an expertise that fits here? I think knives would fit. So we'll give him that card. Does he have the right tool for the job? I think his big nasty knife is good enough. Does he have significant advantage? No.
Can I make
sure.
a suggestion there? Well,
Sure.
with the that he's erratic, that maybe he's doesn't have he doesn't have a lot of fear, so he's willing to maybe go into this in the way that someone else might not.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So he's drawn
that. Like it's game time for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the consequence, I mean, the flip side of that is that if you miss here, his consequences might be a little bit worse. Let me recall the cards. Let me shuffle. Okay, so you're drawing. Oops, I'll fix it later. I keep recalling the wrong deck. Here we go. You are drawing the full 4 cards for Cage. Let's see how he does to help this NPC. I think yeah, there you go. Edge is your best.
One thing that I like that when you look at your hand, you can see what it is, so you can totally put them out in the most dramatic fashion.
True. Let me see. This is a special move. NPCs do their thing. On a hit, they succeed. On a 7 and 9, there is a complication. They are hurt. They reveal their treacherous nature. They are overwhelmed by stress. Their work is shoddy. It takes them a long time. I think you see Cage leap forward, dancing across between the globs of lava, the flames, and the creatures trying to get at her. She shoots one of them. It topples into the flames, but another one is just about on her, and he stabs it and like jabs his knife through it and like slings it over his shoulder and slings it into the lava. And she runs across, and several of the Johns and several other NPCs run across. But you see him, when everyone else is crossed, except for Harrow, I suppose. Maybe the last person across. Let's say it's Hughes. Let's say it's Harrow's manipulation buddy Hugh starts to go across. You see him like flick out his knife, and he hamstrings Harrow, and you see he has a big smile on his face when he does it. Not Harrow, when he hamstrings Hughes, and Hughes like lets out a cry and slips and falls into the lava. And then he dances across, leaving only Harrow on the bad side. And there's a couple of these dogs that are coming at you. What are you going to do, Harrow?
I'm going to get across that bridge.
I think you're going to run for it.
Yeah, run for it.
Okay, let me recall. And let me make a big X through X through Hughes. Hughes is a goner. Actually, there's a better way of doing this. There we go. Okay, so you are going to run for it. Run move. This is under a basic peril move. Work with the GM to describe a hectic chase. So what's hectic about your dash? You're the last one. What is it? What do we see?
The creatures are closing from 3 sides, and I've got I've got to turn around and run across the bridge directly behind me, and there's lava slurping up from below, and it's just a pell-mell, flat-out run.
Okay. So same question. Do either of your expertises apply here?
I don't really think so.
No, I don't think intelligence. This is just raw muscle power here. Do you have the right tool for the job? Is there any special piece of equipment that might help you here?
I could use the long stick as a pole vault.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Why not? It's crazy after work. It would be perfect in a movie, right? They'd come in, like, you're not going to make it, but then you pole vault across onto the log and keep going if it works. Okay,
if it works.
I like it. Do you have a significant advantage?
No, I'm hard pressed.
Yeah, I think you're right. So you're looking at 2 cards.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
All right.
Oh, excellent. Bam. Awesome.
Bam. All right. So yeah, you don't even need to bother. You get the triumph. So it works perfect. Tell me what it looks like. You get away.
Yeah, despite the bulky equipment I'm carrying, despite the sudden loss of Hughes and the threat of these monsters, I think I just really coolly see, again, it's just math, I see the place where I can stick this thing. I have a sense of the flexibility of this stick, and I think I like vault over one of these beasts that are snapping at me with its jaws to get on the far side of the get onto the log and then run to the far side.
Perfect. And then I think the lava consumes enough of the log so that it falls into the lava, trapping these monsters on the other side. You hear now, all 3 of you hear that high-pitched whistle, and the dogs the dog creatures all kind of shake their heads, and they go running out into the back into the jungle. They go running away. The remaining 3 or so.
Interesting.
I think Beetle, as they move away and everyone's looking, you hear from the forest behind you. You hear this sort of like. It sounds like Bicker's voice, but it's like when like a voice synthesizer reproduces a voice. It's like Bicker's voice put through a voice synthesizer, so it has like a weird it has like a weird resonance. But coming from the forest, you hear this whispery voice say, what was it you said? you said, Cage, swift, now. So you hear this whispery voice say from the forest, Cage, swift, now.
Oh no.
And it's kind of creepy and weird. You go ahead and gain a point of stress from hearing this.
All right. There we go. Does everyone hear this or just me?
I think just where maybe you were sitting, in relation to the forest, the jungle.
I think I yell up at Baker and did you hear that? Sounded like your voice.
Hear what? What are you talking about?
Your voice just came from the forest. Something's mimicking you.
That sounds like a good sign. Help me get up here.
All right, I gotta take care of something first. I'm gonna go over to Cage and like put my hand out and be like, "Good work over there."
He seems really happy with himself. He's wiping his knife off on like some fronds. He goes, "Yeah, that was fun.
It's good to have someone we can trust."
Yeah, you can always trust me in a fight, that's for sure."
Yeah, I'm sure I can. And I give him a shove and shove him over the edge if I can.
Okay, into the lava, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Let's see, what would that be?
Honorable.
Yeah. Did he knife Hughes? Did we establish that earlier? Stab Hughes?
Hamstring
Yeah,
him.
hamstring him.
Hamstrung,
They
right,
fell into
yeah.
the lava. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's fight. I think you've got the jump on them, so I think it's just a matter of when we exchange harm, they're not likely to do much harm to you, at least at the first blow.
Mhm.
So on a fight, you gain a stress and you draw.
All right.
So go ahead and gain a stress.
Yeah,
And
more stress.
do you have an expertise that would apply here?
I do. Melee combat.
Yep, that's a no-brainer. Do you have the
or
right
honorable?
Yeah. Do you have the right tool for the job?
I don't know what tool would be appropriate. I mean, unless the tool is the lava.
Now remember, you
Yeah.
can declare things, as long as you're within the restrictions that we have. You have basic melee and ranged weapons are available. You have basic equipment. You can create something, and add it to your character sheet at this
Right,
moment.
because we know we have gear of some sort.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's true. That's true.
Gear.
You can declare it on the fly. So
I'm trying to think of something that would help there because I'm just like shoving.
Worst that can happen is I'll say no.
I can't think of an item that would help.
Maybe
there.
some sort of high-tech version of a bolo that
or just like a rope,
goes around his
even just like
legs.
slinging around him.
what?
And, just rope around his legs.
Yeah.
Yank it.
Okay.
Yank and
yeah,
push.
I can buy it. Yeah. So just add rope, I guess, to your equipment sheet, and you created sort of like a noose or a bola or something that
I
you
think
grab. You sling it around him, and if it works, you're gonna sling him right into the lava, right?
Yeah.
Significant advantage. What do you think?
I think setting up the hey, good job handshake, like lulling him into a like we're murder buddies. I think that would be the advantage there.
Yeah, I think that fits. So you're looking at all 4 cards.
Oh, sweet. Let's see how that goes. Edge. Opportunity. Miss.
Okay, so you can take the edge, which is a partial hit, or you can spend a stress and turn the opportunity from a miss into a triumph.
I think I'll take the edge.
Okay, So let's look at basic peril move fight. On a hit, exchange harm is established. On an edge, choose 2. So you get to choose 2 from the list. You drive the threat off, you suffer little harm, you cause great harm, you keep cool and reduce your stress by 1, you avoid collateral damage, you occupy the threat's attention long enough so that anyone else not engaged may hide or run.
Well, the success is getting him into the lava, so I don't think I need to do great harm there. I think the harm is already great enough. I am going to keep cool and reduce my stress by 1. And suffer a little harm.
Okay, perfect. So I think it's exactly as we described. You use your rope, you snare him, sling him into the lava. He lets out a cry, and before anyone knows what's happened, he's in the lava, burning to death horribly, right?
Thank God.
I think the other 2 characters will have to take a point of stress for that, though. Seeing your companion brutally murder another of your crew.
Did anyone else see him do that, or was that just us?
I forget who I said saw it, but yeah, whoever. I guess it was.
Oh, maybe it was just her. Yeah.
I don't remember. Did I say, Jex, that you had seen it also? I don't remember.
It makes sense that I did, since I just called to Beetle to ask for help, and also
true,
I'm the one who had directed what's his face to
Sure.
help. So yeah, it makes sense that I saw it.
So I think Jex can probably guess, putting one and one together. I guess you could probably guess what just happened. Harrow, however, you had just got over. You're probably breathing hard, from your pole vaulting experience, and suddenly shit happens.
Yeah.
You did not choose avoid collateral damage. So what I'm going to say is that Johns is going to he reacts badly to this. He pulls his shotgun. He has like this shotgun. It has like a pistol grip. So he pulls it out to you and he holds it up to your chest and he says, "Explain yourself, cowboy."
He took his knife and he cut down Hughes. He could have just left him. He was going to make it across. That guy's a psycho and a liability. Do you want him doing that to you when you're not looking? Bickersaw.
Okay, I like it. You are doing the move, basic safety move called Calm Someone Down. Now this could be a little bit of gymnastics to get this in, but it's a safety move, so it includes a share a story.
Ooh.
So what do you share in this moment with, I guess with John's probably, that tells us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to reveal my background.
Sweet.
As a laborer. And I think the story I tell is, you think this is punishment for me? This is a walk in the park, almost literally. I've been on rock crushing crews. I've been on tunnel digging crews. All sorts of nasty, dangerous work. And you know what? It's not the equipment you have to watch out for. It's not the environment you have to watch out for. It's motherfuckers on your crew who either don't pull their weight, think they're better than you, or actively try to jump ahead by pushing you in the fire.
Sweet, I like it. All right, so for Calm Someone Down, you share a story using to calm someone. On a hit, you both reduce your stress by 1 and you choose 1. So I think we just go to the cards then. So cool. Do you have an expertise that fits here?
Honorable.
Yeah, sure. I think for sure. Do you have the right tool for the job to calm down Johns? Any sort of equipment part of this?
I don't think I do.
No. Significant advantage.
If I can rely on the testimony of Bicker, I think that would be an advantage there.
Yeah. Do we hear Bicker putting in 2 cents?
Yeah, I think. I think Bicker just says, John's. He's telling you the truth. I watched it happen.
Okay, that works. So you got 1, 2, 3 cards.
Cool. Edge. Miss and miss.
Okay, so edge. Unless either of the other characters want to help, but
I could help, although, yeah, although Bicker, you might be more appropriate since you were the witness.
Yeah, I'm
but
trying to think what helping for me would look like beyond what I already did.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I still have plenty of stress to spare, so it makes sense for me to help. I guess me and Hero are the same. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a sense of what I would do beyond what I already did.
Do you have an idea, Hero?
yeah, I think I would just say, this is a classic personnel issue. It's better to have, a handful of people you can count on than a lot of people who end up being liabilities. Johns, if you can't see that, then maybe you shouldn't be leading this group.
All right, sounds like a good HR strategy.
So I draw a card.
You first you take a stress.
Oh, take
When
a stress.
when you help someone, you take a stress, and then you draw 1 card for each card that the person you're helping has exposed, which is now 2. So you're going to draw 2 cards, hoping to get something better than an edge. Remember, you use the exact same mechanic if you ever want to hinder someone, but in that case, you would take one of your bad cards and replace one of their good cards.
So
you got a miss, and you get 1 more opportunity.
I got an opportunity.
So So how this works is that you decide which of your cards you want to give him. So do you want? I imagine you want to give him the opportunity.
Yes, for sure.
So you're replacing one of his misses with your opportunity. So now Beetle has the option of either taking the edge or the opportunity and spending the stress to turn it into a triumph.
Well, if I spend the stress, then I will reduce my stress with that hit. So might as well turn that into a triumph.
True. All right, so you spend a stress to turn it into a triumph. And then because on Calm Someone Down, you get a hit, you reduce your stress by 1, so your stress stays the same. You just do the first part. So because you succeeded, you get to look at one of their face-down identity cards. The NPC doesn't apply. You get to ask him a question that he must answer honestly or raise their disposition towards you.
I think I go for that last one.
Okay. So Johns gives you a sly look and he says, you know what? That actually makes sense. You weren't a marshal back in the day, were you? You got some guts. I got to give you that.
He's talking to Beetle.
Just doing my job.
Yeah, he's talking to Beetle. Yep. Okay. So I think of that with the burning body of Cage, sinking into the lava, with the jungle, the smelly jungle behind you. I think that's a good point to stop. Let me, before I forget, make a X out. Getting rid of our NPCs here. So think for a moment if you have any stars or wishes. We'll do a round of that, and throw in when we come to you. If you have any ideas about oops, messed up. If you have any ideas about the game, about what works, what doesn't work, what you think needs would do different, just feedback for me. Feel free to throw that out there. Also, I'll fix this later. Never mind. So let me start with Jex. Stars and wishes, feedback, playtest stuff.
Yeah. Star for Chris. Harrow pulling out the compactor was great. Actually, just about every Harrow moment was really great. Like just the dedication to this corporate persona was really good. And Mark, I love Beetle already, and that moment that it sort of felt like a heel turn, but it's not technically a heel turn because Beetle's not a heel. But yeah, that was so good. That was such a badass, an unexpected moment. Especially, I really liked his bicker asking like, "Hey, help me out here. Just hold on, I have something to finish." And yeah, that was great. Um, uh, Jason, I'm already really enjoying this system so far. I love the I don't know, the threat cards that you've kind of put into play are really cool. Um, I Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see more about the monsters, and yeah, this is just all around pretty cool. There was something specific I wanted to call out, and now I don't remember what it was. So if I remember it, I'll post it on Slack later. In terms of feedback for the playtesting, um, the only thing that I've really noticed is that, and this might just be like it'll get easier as we play, but it feels a little too procedural sometimes, if that makes sense. Um, Kind of a little bit, okay, here we have to do this, and then here's the story, and oh, that was the things I actually really like, the sort of like Escape from Dino Island stuff that you pull in here. Like that's great. But yeah, I think just that stuff feeling more smooth, I think would help. Um, my wish is, I guess we kind of start getting there, but the NPCs maybe being a little bit more actively involved in what's going on.
Okay, sounds good. Mark?
Yeah. First stars for this setup. I don't often play in Roll20, mostly just use character keeper. So having games with cards that are out and like a lot of things to reference and look at is super fun. And the reveals, love the reveals of like the agendas and stuff. That's super fun to play with. And I'm excited to see more about how the threat cards work too. That's pretty cool. Star to Bigger for being the first one up that tree, like right into danger. Love it. I think everyone's being really great about making bad decisions and running into danger. Love that. Second, the big corporate face on Harrow that's just playing that super hard, pushing that button. Love that. And yeah, I loved the move of just making the psycho killer a psycho killer, and giving that opportunity to react off of that. There's a lot of fun stuff here. Wishes, just want to see more of what happens. A lot of fun stuff is going to be coming up next, I think. Just more of the same. Feedback. Okay. I think and maybe it's just like getting used to the cards and stuff. Like drawing cards is always slower than rolling dice. That feels like it puts a little pause in there, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Because I also like I actually do like the proceduralization of doing the storytelling stuff that like slows down the pace a little bit. So yeah, maybe like having that intentionally give a little breath to action scenes and stuff was not bad. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Reflect. Bouncing off of what you and Jex both said. It's something that definitely will change as I continue to do it. Because like I do want it to be slower down. To be more procedural on those moves on purpose. To inject that stuff. That's a good place to do it and to slow things down on purpose. But yeah, like it's a matter of like how can you simplify it, make it smooth. I think in some experience, like I played this twice with my home group, and the second session, people are kind of like they know what to do, so like they go a little quicker. Like this first session, it's very tick and tack, it's very step by step. I don't know, but I'll definitely take that to heart and to think about that for sure. Something I've thought about already. Thanks, Chris. stars, wishes, feedback, play test?
Yeah. Stars definitely to Bicker for running into danger, and to Beetle for the amazing shove off the cliff. I just thought that was great. Like Jack said, hang on one second, I gotta tend to something. That was awesome. And totally needed to happen. Uh, and I think I need to get more familiar with the moves, basic safety moves, basic peril moves, things like that, and that, like you say, things will run more smoothly once, because we're learning while we're playing. So I think that will be fine. I don't really have. I guess it doesn't count as a wish. I really liked how you seem to put some real thought into the different moves and the special moves, and I like that for just about any situation we ran into, there was a move. I like the NPCs do their thing move, for instance, and I'm really impressed with. So I also liked the tell a story thing from Dino Island, and sort of this combination of Zombie World and Escape from Dino Island seems to fit really well for this. And I like that the revealing something about yourself, the story, can be just a quip, because that's often what happens in action movies. Just an offhand comment that reveals a little flash about somebody, and you just know something by the way they said it or the lingo they used or something. Anyway, like I was saying, like others have said, I think that the agenda and background are, mesh pretty smoothly from Zombie World into this. So yeah, I'm interested in, excited to see what happens. I'm bummed that my character's gotten too stressed, because my goal is to end with 0 stress, but
Sure.
we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a game with a lot of stress on the characters, so I'm not optimistic.
Well, one thing that I definitely am going to push that will, just for playtest, if nothing else, there's a set of moves called overwhelmed moves. So those are the moves you use to reduce your stress. So you might want to take a look at those. You don't have to wait till you're at 5 either. You can start reduce it when you're at 2 or 1, whatever.
Oh, interesting.
But
yeah,
they're all
probably. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say the overwhelm moves, they're all messy one way or the other. Like they create more problems, which of course is just more story, which is great. So yeah, I think for the table, everybody, I'll remind you next time, or I'll push for it. You might want to, look into one of those and see if you can bring those out and reduce your stress, but also just see how they work.
It may turn out that we have too many moves. I'm not sure. I don't want to say that, but I'm not in a position to say that. Since I'm still being.
Yeah, it's a good point. Breaking them up into types of moves is something I've been thinking about.
No,
they all
that
have their
helps.
spots. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not familiar enough with the trigger, or the kind of scene that each of the moves goes into.
Right.
So yeah, no, I don't want to say that yet. We'll find out.
We touched on each type of move today at least once, except for the overwhelm move. So special moves are really just the help, and then the NPC move you guys talked about that we brought out. And then we did a lot of peril moves. We did quite a bit of the safety moves. We did the location moves.
Yeah, interesting.
So right now it might seem like a lot, but they all have their spot. Like there's really not a lot of, like, in a particular situation, there's not a lot of moves that you're going to pull from. Like when you were in that fight with the dogs, really all you're going to do in those situations is the peril moves, pretty much. And there's 5 of them. So I hear what you're saying. I mean, you definitely, when we play again, I'll be very curious to see what your experiences are playing it a second time. Sitting down, having gotten a couple hours of playing it, whether any of it starts to sink in and become a little bit more natural. But if not, I definitely want to hear about it. Anything else, Chris?
No, it's fun so far. It's really interesting.
You guys are doing great. You're doing exactly what I would hope. The collaborative, the improvisational part, you guys are nailing hardcore, 100%. Providing me tons of material, a very vivid setting filled in very quickly with each. Another thing I'm trying to do is like every move you're doing things, but you're also creating more of that setting, so everything's trying to create more and more setting to make it more vivid and interesting, and that you guys are definitely hitting that hard and doing great. It felt like it didn't completely fall on its face. I don't feel like we ever reached a point where like this just doesn't work, so that's a good sign. What else? Chris, your character is so funny, the fact that you have the stay cool, I don't know if you were like, sending us that message with your earlier actions before you flip the card, but it all meshed together nicely. Just your reactions to these horrible situations and staying cool, using your intelligence and phrasing it, frame it in terms of your intelligence, that I can definitely picture it. It's really neat. Bicker, you're running across to the other side, that whole like when things were kicking off or dealing with the lava. I really enjoy that, see how you're dealing with that. And then I think too, like Mark, you were like sort of foreshadowing Beetle's character also, and having it come to fruition with your reaction to the treachery of Cage. That was perfect. That was a nice little arc. Wishes wise, like I said, I would say the only wish I have for you guys is to look at those overwhelm moves, maybe kick one out next time. Beyond that, I don't think I can think of anything else. I had a lot of fun, which I think is the main thing. And like I said, I'm pleased that it didn't completely fall apart. Just behind the veil, it's almost like this game. One thing, I don't know if I'll change it or not, but it's like I'm trying to juggle. Like as a game master in PBTA type games, you of course have those hard moves, so you're always trying to be like, how am I going to bring this to a hard move out into the world? In addition, I have my threat card. So like I'm trying to juggle both of those at the same time, which creates a little bit of cognitive load, but it wasn't too bad. So I think that's just something I'm recognizing in my own play of this today is when do I do I hit them with a hard move? Do I bring out a monster card here? Do I bring out this card? It's all fun, but it's just something I'm juggling. So putting that out there. So I'll remember when I go back and look at this later and do some revisions. But between now and then, have a good week, guys. Thank you very much. Any last thought? Oh, one last thing. Does anyone not want this to be public on YouTube? Is everyone okay with it on YouTube? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Everyone's good? Great. So I'll throw it up there. People can watch it if they should wish. Thank you very much. I will see you next Friday.
Cool. Catch you next time.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.